LemonAid, freshly brought to you by Blessed Vision Foundation. This episode is sponsored by Rotary Club of Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area, Hong Kong. The views and opinions expressed in the following interview are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views or position of Blessed Vision Foundation. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to LemonAid. Tonight we have two special guests, and one is Mr. Lam, and other one is Tahira, Auntie Tahira. I'm so happy that they can come to share with us their stories. Mr. Lam, actually, he has served for the ethnic groups in Hong Kong for 3 years already. And Mr. Lam, can you share with us how and why you started to serve the...
The occasion to serve the African minorities begin from the primary school. They invite different kind of organization to go into the school to serve the kids to learn Chinese and help them for the academic purpose. And our center joined that. And it started the journey to serve the African minorities.
How many nationalities there in the groups that you're serving?
Basically, they are all Pakistani.
Okay, so when the time you communicating and serving with them, how do you explain the experience that you communicate with them?
Basically, they are all Hong Kong people. So maybe at the first sight, we think we have to communicate with them with English, maybe speaking Urdu or Furvat Pashto, but actually it's not. Most of them, born in Hong Kong, speak Chinese and Cantonese very well.
It's much even more better than English, right?
Yeah.
So do you have any very special experience?
Maybe I can share one story.
Yes.
When I go to visit them, one lady come to me and she said her husband need a job. And I asked, what kind of qualification your husband got? She said, her husband got a computer major graduation qualification in Pakistan.
Wow.
And he was looking for a teaching post in Hong Kong local school. But it is very difficult. He is now working as a waiter in Central somewhere. So I said, maybe you should go out for having some qualification or verification in the government barrier, but it is quite expensive for them. So,
you mean it's very expensive for them to prove their academic qualifications?
Yeah.
So they didn't do that.
Yeah.
And then finally they get a job, and he get a job as a waiter in Central.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, they are facing a lot of difficulties. Communication is one of them, and qualification do not being recognized is one of them. And most of it is that maybe I can say the discrimination, because most of the Pakistani will be treated as lazy, and they are not suitable to work in Hong Kong, especially they are not speak Chinese, they cannot write Chinese, they cannot recognize all those Chinese characters. So it is the real difficulties for them. Our center is trying to help them in linking up some resources. Say we will refer them to the another center that can provide job and employment opportunity and retraining and something like that. But I think to let them equip themselves, to help themselves is the most important part. So we have to empower them, to let them to feel that they have to change, they have to empower themselves, to equip themselves, to adopt the situation in Hong Kong. It is the most important part.
When they try to adopt the situation in Hong Kong, I believe there is a cultural difference, and they have to cope with this and the cultural difference, because you got experience in knowing what's there going on to this process. What is the most difficult part for them to cope with this culture, and how can we help them or to make them more easier to come into the community?
From my observation, the difficulty is coming into two parts. The first part is the internal. From the internal, it means that, as I shared before, the Pakistani have to just break through the barrier by themselves.
What do you mean by the barriers?
The barriers including the culture, the languages, the living styles, working pace. They have to fully embrace the culture in Hong Kong instead of just gathering around just in a corner, just ignore the Chinese and ignore the culture just happening around. So it is from the internal. And from the external one, we can help a little bit. Say we try to provide a fair and friendly working environment for them and try to empower themselves. So I think the government should have more role on this issue.
What kind of role?
First of all, the language policy. I mean, in the very beginning, it is to be talk about the education in secondary school. The African minorities is required to taking the GCSE. They cannot speak very fluent Chinese, and they even cannot recognize Chinese, but they can get a pass because they are taking the GCSE examination. And hopefully they can promote it to the university, they can graduate. But after that, the local employer require them to write Chinese. So most of them cannot get a job, even they graduate in Hong Kong local universities.
So you means they are facing a problem is they do not have enough training for the Chinese writing and the Chinese and the Cantonese speaking.
Yes, and it is a series of planning the language policy. I mean, so in the very beginning, say the kindergarten education, the language teaching or the education should be included Chinese as their required ability to survive.
You mean in the existing education system, they do
it is
not...
an option. It is an
Oh,
option.
it's an option. It's
Yes.
not necessary that they have to take up the Chinese.
Yeah.
Okay. So when they graduate, like in a secondary school or university, they can still lack of many Chinese writing skills.
Yes.
Oh, that is really not very convenient for them even to find a job, because usually in Hong Kong the key language is Chinese and Cantonese.
Yes. But the problem have both sides, and say if we require them to write Chinese characters, it's extremely difficult for African minorities. But we have to develop and invent some new methods. But I don't think much successful example in Hong Kong. I saw some of them try to break down the Chinese character writing into some picture or some sketch, some parts to helping those African minorities recognize the Chinese character easily. But that is not familiarized with the different education sectors. So say we do not have the unified approach in Chinese teaching. So the students in primary and secondary school, they all accepting different kind of teaching methodology.
Oh, okay, for the Chinese.
Yes.
Yes, because the Chinese wording itself is quite complicated.
Yes, I
It's
agree.
many combination.
Strokes,
Yes,
yeah.
strokes and a different shape of strokes,
Yeah.
and you have to recognize, and that really a problem. So now it's still not a very effective solution.
Yes.
Okay, so how do you how your team to help them to learn the Chinese?
Some of our key members, the volunteers, now learning the method to teach Chinese characters, the wording. And we are planning to organize some classes, but we are lacking of funding, and we are still looking for the suitable tutors for the ladies. And I mean, those Chinese learning process is not only limited in secondary school kids, and also it is very important in African minorities families, especially the ladies.
Why?
because they have to be empowered to communicate with other local people instead of just use the rudu to talk around and just hiding in a corner.
Is that learning the Chinese words, it's really that important for them to living in Hong Kong?
In the situation, in the present situation of the African minorities ladies, basically they need to learn Chinese even. They need to speak Cantonese, they can live well. They still can...
They still can maintain their life, right?
Yes. But they cannot break through that barrier.
Oh, okay, so your key point is they have to break through the barriers to step in the community.
So language is the key.
Okay, so that's why the language will help them to merge into the community.
Yes, absolutely.
What is the benefit if they really merge into the community? Do you have any one or two cases that you observe the ladies really merge into the community?
I heard one story that a lady complaining for her husband for the income. I asked, how much your husband earned for a month? She said her husband earned at least a half of a local worker. It is all because her husband do not know how to write Chinese characters. So you see, what's the meaning of the merging or embracing the ethnic minorities is that we have to treat it as the local people. It is not Pakistani. She or he is actually a local people, a part of Hong Kong people.
A part of us.
Yes.
So we have to treat them equally,
Yes.
including the salaries,
Yes.
including the manner,
Yeah.
and including other like living standard.
All the aspects.
All the aspects. Yeah. I think this is a very good point. And as the families you observed in the Pakistani that you're observing, do they have some family problems or emotional problems that you observe they are having and they really need a solutions?
One of the major problems is that every family with 2 or more kids. So most of them with 4 or 5 actually. So the ladies will just tired to take care of the family, and only the husband can work outside. So the ladies will think they are so tired to go out, to hanging out, to meet new friends, to immerse into the society, and they are tired to learn new things because they are just so tired to take care of the family.
So this is the problem.
One of the problem.
How do we can solve this problem? I mean, the way out for this.
For our center, we are now trying to help them to form some groups to organize gathering in the ladies' home. So the ladies have a trustful and private area for them to share their situation. So it is what we say to empower themselves, to serve themselves.
Yeah, so it's give them a place that they can empower, because I always heard today, you mentioned many times about empower them.
Yeah.
Whatever is the skills, whatever is languages, empower them.
Yeah.
I like these words. And now let's have a rest, and then we will come back again, and we will keep talking with Mr. Lam, and also we'll have Auntie Tahira and with us to share with us his living experience in Hong Kong. See you later. Come back again, we have Mr. Lam with us. And before we come back, actually, we have a little chat about how is the ethnic groups in Hong Kong they're living. And we explore another topic. It's about the youth education. The number of ethnic groups families are really increasing 80% in the previous 4 to 5 years. It's a very big increment. And so we know there are many young generation here. And for the youth education, what do you observe from them? What is the major challenge for the young generation?
maybe we start from the advantage
Yes.
of the young generation first.
Sure,
I mean
sure.
the ethnic minorities.
Yes.
They soak into the Hong Kong culture for a long time.
They're born in Hong Kong.
They're born
most
in
of
Hong
them.
Kong,
Yeah.
yes. So they watching the videos just like you and me.
Like us.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so they get familiarized with Cantonese. And they can speak very well Cantonese.
And can communicate very well in
Yes.
verbal, right?
Yes, yes. But it is also a kind of drawbacks because they think after they deal with the speaking, they can live very well. But actually, it is a lot because in the university education, although they do not require them to write very good Chinese, but actually their employer require them to write
Yes,
Chinese.
you're right.
So
you're
after they graduate, the real problem
Is
are
coming.
showing up. Yes. So I think the communication is always in different forms, as in written form or they appear in oral speaking. So the challenge is that they have to communicate well both in writing and speaking.
What can they do to improve the writing part?
But for my suggestion is that they try to read Chinese articles, just like what we learn, the way we learn English. It's just completely the same.
How about the parents? What do you suggest to parents? How they guide their children?
I would suggest to the parents to create the Chinese learning environment. Say to let them to choose an CMI school, just like the Chinese medium of instructions using. So the classmates will speak Chinese, and they use Chinese as the medium of instruction in all the subject lessons. Thus, they can enhance the chance to learning Chinese and using Chinese as the medium. So I think it is quite practical because they will at least stay in the school for 6 years.
For those who are trying to adapt to the society, the community of Hong Kong, what suggestion do you have for them?
I think you need not to be shy. You can step into those community centers or some NGOs. Their doors are always open for you, and they can provide food. They can provide some assistance. They can provide some kind of tutorial groups or some helping groups for ladies. So you can get a lot of resources from them.
Do you enjoy the things that you are doing now?
I enjoy very much, especially to make new friends and go to their home to enjoy the baraki, the pulao, and all those Pakistani food. It is a good experience. And you can feel their culture. You can feel their brotherhood. You can feel their very strong family tie. And all those are different from the Chinese culture. So it's just a kind of exchange experience.
So, do your life change after meeting with them? After serving
yeah,
with
sure,
them?
of course.
What is the change?
The most important change is to be humble, because the law create a lot of people, different kind of culture groups. Chinese is just one of them, and we have to respect, not just say I am on top of all nations, but we are all one of them. So we respect different kind of cultures. We respect different people's living method and the way they are living. So I think to be humble is a very, very important reminding, and I treasure this very much.
So you enjoy your job?
Yeah, sure, of course.
Thank you, Mr. Lam. And now we also have Auntie Tahira with us. Welcome, Tahira. Thank you for coming to the program today. Welcome. Tahira is very special. She's from Pakistan.
Yes.
She came to Hong Kong when she was 2 years old.
Yes.
Yeah, and live in Hong Kong for 41 years. 41 years. And I think simply, and she is already a Hong Kong people. Do you like Hong Kong?
Yes, I very like the Hong Kong. She's my country.
Tahira is very special because before the interview, she told me that she grew in Hong Kong and for the 41 years. So she said her Cantonese is better than English and Urdu. So later on, and she will share about her story in Cantonese, and we will have Gloria to help in translate. And Tahira, can you share with us in this 41 years, how is your living here?
都OK 啦，好好啦。都全部人喺度啦，媽咪爸爸啦，同埋 family 喺度咧，咁咪我唔知道自己國家嗰邊啦，好少去啊嘛。咁香港咧，即係我啲女人咧，咩都即係嗰邊咧，即係出街啊，咩都唔得嘅。我啲性係會教嗰啲，咁咪香港咩都冇咯。開心啦，咁咪佢哋都知道香港咧，即係女人做咩都得噶啦，即係嗰邊有啲出街又唔得，即係女人出世又唔中意，香港唔會咁，咁咪我爸爸媽咪嗰啲都佢哋都話唔怕，係同埋開心心啦，咁咪中意呢個地方啦，咩都有咯，同埋咁咧，咁咪都香港嗰啲好似我係巴基斯坦人，有啲中國人傾偈啊，喺度住冇所謂咯，冇問題嘅。人哋開心傾偈，一齊嗰啲細嗰陣時玩公園都唔怕，都唔會嗰啲中國小朋友話點解你係巴基斯坦人啊，都唔講。大人細路仔一齊傾偈，開心心。咁我話香港一定 number one 地方嘅。
Okay.
I think it's very good living in Hong Kong because in my country, women cannot do anything. We cannot go out in the street as freely as I could in Hong Kong. So if I go to the park and talk with little children or elderly, it's fine here in Hong Kong. But in my country, it's definitely a no.
So happy that today we can have this happy chat. Thank you so much, Tahira. Thank you.
Welcome to Cantonese time. 廣東話時間. Flora, I need your help.
What can I help you?
I'm going to work as a part-time sales. Could you teach me some Cantonese phrases, please?
Sure, wherever customers arrive, we say 歡迎光臨. It means welcome to our shop.
Okay, so 歡迎光臨 means welcome to our shop.
Exactly.
So how can I say, how can I help you in Cantonese?
請問有咩幫到你?
請問有咩幫到你? Okay, thanks, Flora. So people always ask me for discount, but I can't help. What should I say?
已經好抵啦. It's already a bargain.
已經好抵啦.
Perfect. Sometimes people say 平啲啦. They are also bargaining for a better price. It means cheaper, please.
Ah, I see. How can I ask if they want a plastic bag in Cantonese?
要唔要膠袋? 膠袋 means plastic bag.
要唔要膠袋 means do you want a plastic bag?
Exactly. You can also say 下次再幫襯 when people leave. It means please come and shop again.
下次再幫襯.
Wow, you are such a fast learner. Well done.